all glories to the meeting of the transcendental pair, Shri Radha and Krishna. The gopis, headed by Lalita, perform the arti ceremony for their pleasure.
Wearing a crown decorated with peacocks.
Thank you.
Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt.
Thank you.
She's decorated with various shimmering, sparkling ornaments. Her face is so splendorous that it enchants the mind of Lord Hari.
The gopis of Vishaka's group sing many enchanting songs in various tunes, while the topmost class of gopis, known as the Priya Dharma Sakis, soothe Radha Krishna by waving chamber and fans.
So this is a Bhaktivinoda Thakur bhajan, and he wrote so many beautiful bhajans to invoke the mercy of Srimati Radharani. And he also stated that the holy days are that they cause bhakti to come in the heart. So in the Padma Purana, Lord Brahma is speaking to his dear son Narad Muni, and he says to him, although the Ekadasi day is so dear to Krishna, one gains 100 times more spiritual benefit by observing Radhastami Vrata than 1,000 Ekadasi Vratas. So it's a very super auspicious day. So first of all, we need to know who is Srimati Radharani. I'm going to read from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Leela, chapter 4, where it describes who Srimati Radharani is. Sri Radha Thakurani is the embodiment of Mahabhava. She is the repository of all good qualities and the crest jewel among all the lovely consorts of Lord Krishna. Of these two gopis, Radharani and Chandravali, Srimati Radharani is superior in all respects. She is the embodiment of Mahabhava, and she surpasses all in good qualities. Her mind, senses, and body are steeped in love for Krishna. She is Krishna's own energy, and she helps him in his pastimes. Here's a text from Brahma Samhita. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who resides in his own realm, Goloka, with Radha, who resembles his own spiritual figure and who embodies the ecstatic potency, Ladini. Their companions are her confidants, who embody extensions of her bodily form and who are imbued and permeated with ever blissful spiritual rasa. Now please listen to how Lord Krishna's consorts help him taste rasa and how they help him in his pastimes. The beloved consorts of Lord Krishna are of three kinds: the goddesses of fortune, the queens, and the milkmaids of Raja, who are the foremost of all. These consorts all proceed from Radhika. Just as the fountainhead, Lord Krishna, is the cause of all incarnations, so Sri Radha is the cause of all these consorts. The goddesses of fortune are partial manifestations of Srimati Radhika, and the queens are reflections of her image. The goddesses of fortune are her plenary portions, and they display the forms of Vaibhav Vilas. The queens are of the nature of Vaibhav Prakash. The Vraja Devis have diverse bodily features. They are her expansions and are the instruments for expanding rasa. Without many consorts, there is not such exaltation in rasa. Therefore, there are many manifestations of Srimati Radharani to assist in the Lord's pastimes. Amongst them are various groups of consorts in Braja who have varieties of sentiments and mellows. They help Lord Krishna taste all the sweetness of the rasa dance and other pastimes. Radha is the one who gives pleasure to Govinda, and she is also the enchantress of Govinda. She is the be-all and end-all of Govinda, and the crest jewel of all his consorts. The transcendental goddess, Srimati Radharani, is the direct counterpart of Lord Sri Krishna. She is the central figure for all the goddesses of fortune. She possesses all the attractiveness to attract the all-attractive personality of Godhead. She is the primeval internal potency of the Lord. Devi means resplendent and most beautiful, or else it means the lovely abode of the worship and love sports of Lord Krishna. Krishnamayi means one who's within and without our Lord Krishna. She sees Lord Krishna wherever she casts her glance, or she is identical with Lord Krishna, for she embodies the mellows of love. The energy of Lord Krishna is identical with him. Her worship, Aradhana, consists in fulfilling the desires of Lord Krishna. Therefore, the Puranas call her Radhika. So that's a quick run through of who Srimati Radharani is. So her appearance day to day, many long years ago, her glorious father, who is an exalted devotee of Krishna, of course, and devotee of Krishna, Sri Vrishabhanu, he went to take his bath, his midday bath in the river Jamuna, as he did every day. So, in the middle of the Jamuna river, he became bedazzled by this effulgent golden lotus. And then he saw that lying on the whirl of the lotus was this beautiful, radiant baby girl. So he immediately went and lifted her and took her to his home, where Kirtida, his wife, was thrilled to see this beautiful, stunning, golden, effulgent baby. So she was a little concerned though, because she didn't open her eyes, and Kirtida was thinking maybe she's blind, but she's so beautiful and auspicious. So they had the name-giving ceremony, at which Vrishabhanu distributed many cows and gold in charity. There were musicians and dancers, and it was a very great celebration. After some time, Sri Narad Muni visited them. So Vrishabhanu, being a little concerned that this baby hadn't opened its eyes, he took the baby and placed the baby on the lap, Sri Radhika on the lap of Narad Muni, and he was kind of hoping for a miracle. So as that baby sat on the lap of Sri Narad Muni, he suddenly became overwhelmed with ecstatic symptoms. And his hair stood on end and tears gushed from his eyes. So then, knowing this, Sri Radhika decided to reveal to him her divine form. So while he was sitting there, internally in his heart, she showed herself sitting underneath a beautiful kalpa vriksha tree on a gem-studded throne, and there were hundreds and hundreds of Sakhis serving her. And Narad Muni was really overcome, but he was trying to conceal his emotions. So silently he offered prayers to her in his heart. You are Adi Shakti, the original potency. You are the life force of Krishna, the supreme goddess of bhakti. You bewilder Govinda with your charm. All the devas worship you. So that was his prayer. So then he handed back to Vrishabhanu, Srimati Radharani. And Vrishabhanu and Narad Muni said to Vrishabhanu, you are so fortunate. She will fill Gokul with bliss. Your glory will be spread far and wide. Then Vrishabhanu said, will she open her eyes? And Narad Muni said, don't worry. when Mother Yasoda and Nanda Maharaj come here, all will be perfect. So after some time, when Krishna was actually a year old, they made a festival. Vrishabhanu and Kirtidar made a festival, and they invited everybody, and they invited Mother Yasoda and Nanda Maharaj. So there was much to do during this festival. The Brahmanas were chanting mantras, and there's many things happening. So at that time, Krishna crawled across the room, and he pulled himself up to Radharani's equivalent of a bassinet, and looked in to see Srimati Radharani, and at that time she opened her beautiful eyes, and their eyes locked. So there's a reason that this happened, and the reason is that when Krishna said, all right, we must go to earth now for our pastime because they're travelling roadshow, we're going to earth, and Srimati Radharani said, I don't want to be out of your vision. I want to be able to see you. I can't bear that. And so they agreed that she would keep her eyes closed until Krishna came. So that's the appearance of Srimati Radharani. So I'm going to read a little bit about Srimati Radharani's divine qualities, also from Chaitanya Charitamrita. This is chapter 23. Oh, actually, you all have the qualities. So could everybody just one quality in a nice big voice say one quality, please?
She's a fresh young girl.
Her eyes are always moving.
She's always brightly smiling.
She possesses all auspicious marks on her body.
She can agitate Krishna by the flavor of her person.
She is expert in the art of singing.
She can speak very nicely and sweetly.
She's expert in presenting feminine attractions.
She is modest and gentle.
She's always multiple.
She is transcendently cunning.
She knows how to dress nicely. She is always shy. She is always respectful. She is always patient.
She is very brave.
She is situated on the highest devotional platform.
She is the abode of love and the residence of virtue.
She gives shelter to all kinds of devotees.
She is always affectionate to superiors and to inferiors. She is always obliged by the dealings of her associates. She is the greatest amongst Krishna's devotees. She always keeps Krishna under her control.
And it's explained in Chaitanya Charitamrita. In short, she possesses unlimited transcendental qualities, just as Krishna does. And yesterday, Manjula's mother, my god sister from Alachua, rang up and she said, oh, my favourite quality of Srimati Radharani is she's very kind to old people. Okay, so thank you for that. So I also wanted to read the transcendental body and beauty of Srimati Radharani, which is in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya 8. So the body of Srimati Radharani is a veritable transformation of love of Godhead. She is the dearmost friend of Krishna, and this is known throughout the world. That supreme ecstasy of Srimati Radharani is the essence of spiritual life. Her only business is to fulfill all the desires of Krishna. Srimati Radharani is the topmost spiritual gem. and the other gopis, Lalita, Vishaka, and so on, are expansions of her spiritual body. Srimati Radharani's transcendental body is brilliant in luster and full of all transcendental flavors. Lord Krishna's affection for her is like a perfumed massage. Srimati Radharani takes her first bath in the shower of the nectar of compassion and takes her second bath in the nectar of youth. After her midday bath, Radharani takes another bath in the nectar of bodily luster, and she puts on the garment of shyness, which is exactly like a black silk sari. Srimati Radharani's affection for Krishna is the upper garment, which is pinkish in colour. She then covers her breasts with another garment, comprised of affection and anger towards Krishna. Srimati Radharani's personal beauty is compared to the reddish powder known as kumkum. Her affection for her associates is compared to sandalwood pulp, and the sweetness of her smile is compared to camphor. All these combined together are smeared over her body. Conjugal love for Krishna is just like an abundance of musk. By that musk her whole body is decorated. Covered anger and craftiness constitute the arrangement of her hair. The quality of anger due to jealousy is just like the silk covering her body. Her attachment for Krishna is the reddish colour of betel nuts on her brilliant lips. Her double dealings in loving affairs are just like the black ointment around her eyes. The decorated ornaments on her body are the blazing ecstasies of goodness, and these constantly existing ecstasies are headed by jubilation. All these ecstasies are like ornaments all over her body. These bodily ornaments constitute 20 kinds of ecstatic symptoms, beginning with Kila Kinchita. Her transcendental qualities are the flower garland hanging in fullness over her body. The tilak of fortune is on her beautiful, broad forehead. Her various loving affairs are a gem, and her heart is the locket. Srimati Radharani's gopi friends are her mental activities, which are concentrated on the pastimes of Sri Krishna. She keeps her hand on a friend who represents youth. Srimati Radharani's bedstead is pride itself, and it is situated in the abode of her bodily aroma. She is always seated there, thinking of Krishna's association. Srimati Radharani's earrings represent the name, fame, qualities of Lord Krishna. The glories of Lord Krishna's name, fame, and qualities are always inundating her speech. Srimati Radharani induces Krishna to drink the honey of the conjugal relationship. She is therefore engaged in satisfying all the lusty desires of Krishna. Srimati Radharani is exactly like a mine filled with valuable jewels of love for Krishna. Her transcendental body is complete with unparalleled spiritual qualities. If one asks about the origin of love of Krishna, the answer that the origin is in Srimati Radharani alone. Who is the most dear friend of Krishna? The answer again is Srimati Radharani alone, no one else. Srimati Radharani's hair is very curly. Her two eyes are moving always to and fro, and her breasts are firm. Since all transcendental qualities are manifested in Srimati Radharani, she alone is able to fulfill all the desires of Krishna, no one else. Chale. So, I have a few pastimes of Srimati Radharani. Some of them are just very short ones from Nectar of Devotion, but there are so many. If you go through Nectar of Devotion, there are many, many beautiful pastimes in which Srimati Radharani is central. So I'll just read a few of them. When Srimati Radharani first saw Krishna, she suddenly became conscious of all transcendental happiness, and the functions of her different limbs were stunned. When Lalita, her constant companion, whispered into her ear the holy name of Krishna, Radharani immediately opened her eyes wide. One day, in a joking mood, Krishna informed Radharani, "My dear Radharani, I'm going to give up your company." Upon saying this, he immediately disappeared. And because of this, Radharani became so afflicted that the hue of her body changed, and she immediately fell down upon the ground of Vrindavan. She had practically stopped breathing, but when she smelled the flavour of the flowers on the ground, she awoke in ecstasy and got up. One night, Srimati Radharani was talking in a dream. "My dear Krishna," she said, "please do not play any more jokes on me. Please stop, and please don't touch my garments either. Otherwise, I shall inform the elderly persons, and I shall disclose all of your naughty behaviour." While she was talking like this in a dream, she suddenly awoke and saw some of her superiors standing before her. Thus Srimati Radharani became ashamed and bowed her head. Just a couple more. The following is an example of a mixture of conjugal love and laughter in devotional service. Krishna, in the dress of a young girl, told Radharani, "Oh, you hard-hearted girl, don't you know that I am your sister? Why are you unable to recognize me? Be merciful upon me and please capture my shoulders and embrace me with love." While Krishna was dressed up exactly like Radharani, he was speaking these nice words, and Srimati Radharani could understand his purpose. But because she was in front of many of her superiors, she simply smiled and did not say anything. Okay, so I also wanted to tell a nice pastime that happened to prove that Srimati Radharani is the most chaste lady in Vrindavan. So, one day Srimati Radharani was sitting with Lord Krishna in the forest by the Jamuna, and she began to complain that, "I'm having so much trouble, my dear Krishna, because so many people are coming and they are complaining that I'm going to be contaminated by your association. And they're warning me to stay away from you because you will cause me trouble. And that if I keep meeting you," this is when they were young, "that if I keep meeting you this way, then I'll be known as unchaste. So I don't know what to do and I don't know where to go, but I'm feeling very upset by this." So then Krishna said to her, "Okay, tomorrow I will solve the problem." And then she said, "Oh, no, I don't want anyone to say anything bad about you. It's okay, don't do anything." And he said, "No, I assure you, tomorrow I will solve this problem." So the next day, Krishna went to his mother and he said, "Mother Yasoda, I'm not feeling well." And so Mother Yasoda took him on her lap, and she felt his forehead and noticed that he had a fever, he had a really high fever. So she became very, very worried, and as he became sicker and sicker there, she fainted. So Lord Krishna collapsed because of his high fever, and Mother Yasoda fainted. So in this circumstance, in came Nanda Maharaj, and he saw what had happened. He thought, "Oh my goodness," and he felt Krishna's forehead, and he saw that Mother Yasoda had fainted in anxiety. So he quickly woke her up, and shook her and woke her up and said, get up, Krishna's so sick, what will we do?" So they were deciding what they should do because Lord Krishna was very unwell, high burning fever. So then they decided that they would send out news that Lord Krishna was sick and anybody who had any cure could come, because in those days everything was all natural medicines, Ayurveda, etc. So the call went out and many, many devotees came running because Krishna is their life and soul and he's sick. So various people the devotees tried various ways to cure Lord Krishna of this terribly high fever, but he just remained unconscious and the fever was there. So Mother Yasoda was beside herself and everybody was very, very concerned. And then along came a young, very beautiful young man, and he presented himself and said, well, I'm an Ayurvedic physician and also I'm an astrologer and maybe I can help. So Mother Yasoda and Nanda Maharaj brought him in and he examined Krishna. And he said, well, this is a very serious problem here and it has a very unusual solution to it. So the solution is that in a certain area of the Jamuna, water should be taken in a pot that has 1,000 holes. That water should be carried very carefully back here without spilling it by a very chaste lady. And I shall then use that water to mix my medicines and Krishna will be cured. So he really seemed to know what he was talking about. And Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda Devi were desperate anyway, so they said, oh, all right. So, of course, many devotees had gathered, to try to help out. And what was required was a chaste lady. So Radharani's sister-in-law Kutila said, I'm very chaste. I'm famous for my chastity. I can do it. So everyone was like, okay, great. Kutila's going to take the pot. So they went with her to the Jamuna and Kutila got this pot with 1,000 holes, filled it up, put it on her head, and they had to cross a bridge to get back. As soon as she stepped on that bridge, she slipped, over went the pot, and over went Kutila into the river Jamuna. So that was pretty humiliating for Kutila. But her mother, Jatila, Abhimanyu's mother and Srimati Radharani's mother-in-law, she said, I am famous in many districts for my chastity. I can perform this service. So everyone was like, okay, take this pot with 1,000 holes. So Jatila went. And again, as soon as she stepped on that bridge, over she went. So this was a bit of a problem, but one by one, the women who thought that they were known to be very chaste, always chaste to their husband, they tried. But unfortunately, nobody could succeed. So they didn't know what to do. What could be done? Krishna was burning up. So eventually, they asked the astrologer, well, you do astrology as well as Ayurvedic medicine. Can you look and see if there's somebody here who's fit to perform this task? It's urgent. So the astrologer did some calculations and symbols and then he said, there is one person here, her name is Radha. Oh, everybody's like, oh, Radha. So they brought Radharani forward and she took the pot. Now this time the astrologer came with her and they went across the Jamuna and he stood with her when she filled up the pot. But when Srimati Radharani looked in the Jamuna river, she saw not the astrologer's reflection, she saw Krishna's reflection there. She was puzzled. And then Krishna said to her quietly, don't worry, I'm going to fill that pot with 1,000 fingers. You take it carefully, you will succeed. So Srimati Radharani filled the pot up and very carefully she walked across the bridge and brought the pot all the way back to, led by the astrologer. The astrologer was walking in front of her, led the way all the way back to Mother Yasoda and Nanda Maharaj's house. And then the astrologer went in, he took that water, mixed it, and Krishna miraculously recovered. And the astrologer disappeared. So from that day, Srimati Radharani was known as the most chaste lady in Vrindavan. So, Srimati Radharani's blessings and greatness. So, we know that when Srila Prabhupada was a boy, there was one blessing that he would ask from every sadhu who came, that please bless my son to get the mercy of Srimati Radharani. So Srila Prabhupada was very aware of that. Of course, he worshipped, his father worshipped deities of Radha and Krishna, and he gave Srila Prabhupada deities of Radha and Krishna. And he worshipped Radha and Krishna, of course, all his life. So he was very aware of the importance of the blessings of Srimati Radharani. So when he caught the boat, and we know from our readings on Vyasa Puja, before he went to America, he had said to the Pujari in Shantipur, Advaita Acharya's Pujari, he said, I have been asked to do an impossible task by my Guru Maharaj. So when he was on the Jaladuta, he was praying. He prayed many prayers because it was, in his opinion, an impossible task. So this is what Srila Prabhupada wrote. He said, I emphatically say to you, O brothers, you will obtain your good fortune from the Supreme Lord Krishna only when Srimati Radharani becomes pleased with you. So he was praying at that time to Srimati Radharani to make this message potent for the Westerners. So he had carried that mood of begging for the mercy all his life. And we know that the six Goswamis, what were they praying? Srinivasacharya writes, wherever they went, oh Radha, Radha, they were praying always, please give me your mercy. Where are you? Please give me your mercy. And there's an interesting story about when the first time Srila Bhaktisiddhanta ever saw Srila Gaura Kishore Maharaj, he just had on his loincloth and he was walking towards Sri Sananda Sukara Kunj. But he was singing a bhajan. And that bhajan is actually very beautiful. That bhajan is begging for the mercy of Srimati Radharani. It has about 15, 16 stanzas. The bhajan is by Raghunath Das. And he's going to different places in Vrindavan, and wherever he's going, he's calling out, crying for Srimati Radharani's mercy. That's what that bhajan is. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta was so impressed, we know that he could remember anything he heard. He wrote down that bhajan that he heard from Gaura Kishore. He hadn't actually met him, but he wrote down that bhajan and he kept it for the rest of his life, begging for that mercy. So it's a feature that all these great devotees, they beg for that mercy, and there's a reason for it. So Srila Prabhupada, there's some quotes that Srila Prabhupada's given, many different quotes about Srimati Radharani, 6 pages. So I just wanted to read a few of them. So this is our philosophy, to please Krishna through Radharani. Just today is the auspicious day of Radharani's appearance. So we should offer Pushpanjali and pray to Radharani that Radharani, kindly be merciful and tell me about your Krishna. Your Krishna. Krishna is yours. Krishna, Radha Krishna. Krishna is not independent. Krishna is Radharani's property. So you have to approach Krishna through Radharani. That is, today is the auspicious day. Worship Radharani very nicely and be happy. Another quote. Krishna, everyone is trying to love Krishna, but Krishna is trying to love somebody. Now, how great she is. Just try to understand. Everyone, the whole world, the whole universe, all living entities, they're trying to love Krishna, Krishna Prem. Lord Chaitanya describes Prema Pumarto Mahan, and Rupa Goswami describes that you are distributing Krishna Prem. So Krishna Prem is so valuable, but Krishna is after Radharani. Just see how Radharani is great. Just try to understand the greatness of Radharani. Therefore she is so great. and we have to offer respect. That was in 1968. The other one was 73 in London. This is another one, 69. Radharani can deliver Krishna. She is such a great devotee, the emblem of Mahabhagavat. Even Krishna cannot understand the quality of Radharani's devotion. Although Krishna says, Vedaham samititani, I know everything, he fails to understand Radharani. Radharani is so great. And this is in 1969. Radharani is Hari Priya, very dear to Krishna. Through the mercy of Radharani, we can easily approach Krishna. If Radharani recommends, this devotee is very nice, then Krishna immediately accepts me, however great a fool I may be. Because I am recommended by Radharani, Krishna accepts me. Therefore in Vrindavan you'll find all the devotees chanting Radharani's name more than Krishna's. Wherever you go, you'll find the devotees greeting one another. Jai Radhe! You'll still find this in Vrindavan. The devotees are glorifying Radharani. If you go by the speculative process to understand Krishna, it will take many, many lives. But if you take to devotional service and just try to please Radharani, Krishna will be gotten very easily. So there's many, many quotes regarding this mercy of Srimati Radharani. All her Shaktis are her expansions, and it's described by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta that they are associated aspects of her service to Krishna. And also, it's described that she creates the Sakhis to match particular qualities of Krishna so that they will gel well together. And then she expanded as the queens and as Lakshmi Devis. So she is the queen eternally of Vrindavan, Vrindavaneshwari. She knows how to please Krishna in all respects. She may become angry with him, but it's for his pleasure. At such times he will display his insubordination to Radha's love. Sometimes he will place his head at Radha's feet and he will bathe her feet in tears just to relieve her anger. And other times he may dance like a peacock to make her laugh. He may block her path and tax her. Whatever the pastimes, he's dependent on her love. So we are actually beggars for the grace of Srimati Radharani. So and through our sincere service to Guru and Vaishnavas, she can take away lust, envy, greed, anger, illusion, false pride. She can remove all those things. She can also reveal the deep mystery of Prema Bhakti, love for Krishna in the heart. So Srila Prabhupada has stated she can give us that love for Krishna. So today it's a day for two things. It's a day for gratitude and it's a day for begging for mercy. It was through her mercy that Srila Prabhupada was able to plant this message in the hearts of Westerners who were completely covered over. And therefore, their hearts were arid, but she allowed that, but it was her grace that did that. So this gift that we've been given of devotional service, we also can beg her to not waste that, to not be frivolous about it, to take this, imbibe this deeply in our hearts. Srila Prabhupada, for a start, he gave us the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra japa every day, and he told us that 90% of your advancement comes from your japa. So Radharani is there before Krishna. Hare Krishna. Why is Radharani there before we say Krishna's name? Always Hare Krishna. Because Krishna is pleased through the mercy of a devotee. So when we are chanting that japa, we can be aware that Srimati Radharani's blessings are there. If we take that name in all sincerity, deep into our hearts, so we can pray to her on this day of Radhastami, not to waste the precious gift that we've been given, but to take these holy names deep into our heart and become more and more absorbed in the Lord's pastimes and glories. So thank you very much, and everybody, I hope you have a wonderful sacred day, and that Srimati Radharani blesses everybody. Jai Srimati Radharani Ji Ki Jai.